This renewable house was funded in part by the California Energy Commission Renewable Energy Program and by Astropower, bringing solar power home, and Xantrex, smart choice for power.
Welcome to this Renewable House. I'm Brooke Erdman.
I'm Aitken.
And today we're going to talk about the ease of installing and living with renewable energy. Now, many of you may be wondering, what is renewable energy?
I like to think of it as an energy resource that's provided by nature that's inexhaustible. It's everywhere, can't be mined or depleted. The two most common forms relevant to houses are solar energy and wind energy. In order to take advantage of either of these technologies, you need solar panels or wind turbines. This equipment converts natural sunlight or wind energy into electricity. It runs through something called an inverter, and what comes out is power to power your homes.
In essence, by installing these products, you can create your own form of clean electricity. You own the power plant. Today we're going to focus on solar electric power systems. Unlike solar hot water systems that use the sun's energy to heat water, solar electric or photovoltaic, PV technology, uses the sun's energy to make electricity.
This technology has been proven and has been around for quite a while. The costs have come down now, and there are several government incentives that now make the decision to invest in solar a real possibility. You'll see how these investments in your energy future can save you money and improve your lives.
Let's start by talking to the Forrest family about the key points to a successful solar electric installation. We've invited them here while we install a solar system on this home. I'll find the Forrests and see how they discovered solar energy was right for them.
Okay, and I'll go see what the contractor's doing.
Catherine, hi Kenny, how are you guys doing?
Hi, Brooke.
You know, I wanted to talk with you guys about how you first started this whole process and how you figured out whether solar electric was right for you.
Well, it all started when Kenny and I were getting upset that our utility bill was going up month after month, and so we wanted to look into another alternative and figure out a way to stabilize our bill.
Yeah, I knew there had to be a way to make our bills more predictable and even save us some money.
Well, looks like you might have hit on the right idea. Tell me about how you came up with this solution.
Well, we did some research and found out that conservation or energy-saving appliances would be the first step. So we put in some efficient light bulbs. And
we improved our home insulation.
Right, and we replaced our old refrigerator with a new one.
But best of all, we found out that we could make our meter outside our house spin backwards.
Oh, that's called net metering, right? And you did that by installing solar electric power?
Yeah, we went to several internet resources and made some phone calls just to find out what would be the best for our home. That was the easy part. And then I found a website tool that allowed me to put in simple information like zip code and utility bill expenses.
We learned about state and federal incentives for renewable energy. Up to half the cost of these systems can be paid for themselves through these programs.
We also learned that a solar electric system was a lasting investment that would not only make our home comfortable, but would also improve the resale value.
We very quickly determined that solar electric was our best option, and that we don't have winds consistent and strong enough in our area to support a wind generator. So solar electric came out ahead.
You mentioned a website. Did that give you a general idea of the cost?
Yeah, the website that we used said that a solar electric system would be about $10,000 after rebates, but actually the one that we went with was $15,000 because we added battery backup as well as a more powerful inverter to accommodate future expansion.
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of money at first, but we soon realized that it was more than just an investment on our home, but one that was going to pay for itself. And then when we took the monthly finance costs and subtracted from that the savings we were going to get each month on our bill, well, the net difference was nothing more than a couple of movie tickets.
What do you think about all this, Zach?
I think it's pretty cool. We've been learning about it in science class, and Mom and Dad have been able to help me with my solar project. All right, I'm going to Elliot's house.
Hey, take care.
Bye.
Well, it sounds like a financial decision that keeps the whole family happy. But I'm wondering, were you also thinking of the environmental impact?
We want to do what's right for the environment as well as for Zach's sake.
When I was walking outside, it looks like there's no other solar systems set up in your neighborhood. So have you gotten comments from the neighbors about yours?
We get a lot of comments from them, but it's generally a very good feeling. Zach talks about the system to his friends, and we know we're making a difference that I think the neighbors support.
We know that it's not an investment that everyone can make right now, but we figure that if enough people learn from us, that eventually they'll be able to adopt solar systems of their own.
Let's listen to why other people have decided to go with the grid-tied solar system.
I have a home office business, and it's mainly on the computer.
We were concerned that he wouldn't be able to do his architectural business during the day or even at night with if there was a power outage.
The home system is the same as the office system, where it's we're tied into the grid. Our meter runs backwards during the day. We're contributing clean energy to the grid during the day, the excess that we're not using, but we are drawing from the grid at night.
The rebates right now from the state of California are very, very good, so it seems like it's the most opportune time.
It's a treat to see the meter running backwards during the day, and that we're providing clean energy. We're providing all of our own energy, and we're providing clean energy a little bit back into the grid.
Sounds like an easy choice for some. Well, Kenny, once you decided solar energy was right for you guys, what did you do next?
I called a few installers. Some had solar electric experience, but their knowledge was limited to installing solar systems at summer retreat homes or remote cabins. Because our home is connected to the utility, I wanted to find an installer that had specifically grid-connected solar electric experience.
Kenny and I have a lot of fun doing simple home improvements like painting and landscaping, but putting in our own solar electric system was really more than we felt comfortable with. And I also found a few qualified installers and started to develop a relationship with them, as well as check into their references by interviewing their previous customers.
It's always best to use a licensed contractor, and many states actually require that to qualify for the purchase incentives. Did you find this in your search?
Oh yeah, we specifically looked for a contractor that both had the electrical contractor's license as well as the general contractor's license.
Thanks, you guys. Remember, when selecting an installer, look for a company that has experience installing grid-connected solar electric systems. Ask them how many years they've been in the business, ask what contractor licenses they hold, and get references. Also ask if they have any specific manufacturer or industry training or certifications. Solar electric systems are a valuable asset that, properly installed, will provide 20 or more years of reliable service. You want a qualified installer. Get several bids, but picking the lowest bid is not necessarily your goal. Choose experience and quality. You can go to our website at calenergy.org for more details on how to select a qualified installer. Sounds pretty busy around here. I wonder if Don was able to find Chris to talk about system design and equipment choices. Let's go see.
Hey, Chris, that solar system looks really great. You guys make this look easy.
Well, it's our planning work and our experience that makes it look easy.
You mean I can't just call you up and have you come out and install my solar system?
Well, solar systems are a valuable home improvement, and we need to understand the objectives and balance those with the realities of the home and its site before we order equipment or pull building permits.
Are you working with new or unique kinds of products?
Well, yeah, on one other job, we were using a translucent solar skylight product. This is a building integrated product that serves a dual function.
Boy, I think that sounds beautiful.
It sure is. Also, we can use this product, which serves as the roofing material itself.
So your job is to be current on equipment and practices, and to be able to offer customers a variety of options that are all compliant with building codes?
Yes, that's correct.
But Chris, today you can also choose from a variety of pre-engineered packages. These solar packages come already designed to be installed in different types of homes. It's not really necessary to develop a custom design for every home, is it?
No, it's not, but the pre-engineered packages do work for many customers, but not all. Regardless, you always need a competent and experienced installer. We have to consider many variables specific to each site. Our key objectives are to determine how much power the customer needs, how much they want to spend, and how much sunny roof space they have available.
Well, the more I use, the higher my electric bill, so I suppose the larger the solar system?
Yes, or we could reduce the energy that you need before we install the solar system.
Well, yes, I certainly agree with that. And you know, many people I talk to say that saving energy also improves the quality of their home. It makes it more comfortable. For example, insulation, you know, keeps a home warm in winter and it keeps it cool in the summer. Energy-efficient appliances can make a home quieter. Skylights and windows that bring in the sun also bring in that beautiful natural light. What other things are important when you plan a new solar installation?
Well, first we do consider the roof. We look for south-facing roofs that are generally free from shading for the majority of the day.
What if my roof is flat, or it faces east, or it faces west?
Well, those are okay too, as long as they're sunny for the majority of the day.
Why don't you just consider mounting solar panels on a rack on the ground?
That's also one good option. We can also build mounting structures that serve a double duty, like functioning as a shaded carport, or a window awning, or maybe even a trellis covering a patio.
How much room now are we talking about for mounting panels?
The general rule of thumb is that for each kilowatt, you need about 100 to 250 square feet, depending on the type of panel that you're using.
Well, I see you're installing these panels on this south-facing roof.
This house does have a good south-facing roof area, but it does have some shade in the early morning and the late afternoon. If those trees could be trimmed back a little, the panels could produce even more energy for a longer part of the day.
Well, it certainly looks nice.
Well, aesthetics are important to homeowners and to the neighborhood, so we spend time with the homeowners designing systems that will blend well with the home and its surroundings. But solar does last for 20 years or more, so it's best to start with a good roof. Otherwise, you'd have to remove the panels later to repair or replace the roofing.
Okay, so let me recap. You now have a good idea about where to mount the solar panels and how many to mount. You've discussed the aesthetics related to the design, so the panels look great with the house. What's the next step?
Well, let's go over here and take a look at the inverter and its components. Well, Brooke, let me show you 3 different inverter options. Depending on your budget, we have a couple different type of inverters that we use for what we call a straight grid-tied system. And with that type of system, it is smaller and a little bit more cost-effective. But if the utility fails, then your house will be out of power just like everybody else. Yep. This house is getting a battery backup system. Great. So in this case, the batteries store some of the solar power, so if the utility fails, then we continue to supply selected loads in the house from the batteries and the solar, independent of the utility.
So this is probably a little pricier with the battery backup?
It's a little more expensive, but it can add a great value to your home.
Oh yeah. You've got all these batteries set up, so it doesn't even seem like you need the grid. Why not just be free from it altogether?
Well, with the new net metering laws, it makes your system more cost effective because you can get full retail credit for the surplus electricity that flows back to the utility. So staying connected to the utility makes your system more cost effective.
So it looks like I've got different options for different budgets.
Yes, and with the system that we've installed here, we do have room to expand later.
Oh, great. Now, tell me a little bit about the inverter. I guess this is the inverter.
Yes. What the inverter does is it turns DC, or direct current, that we get from the solar panels to AC, or alternating current, that comes from the utility power lines.
Oh, that I use right in my home.
That you use right in your home. So we use the DC power to charge the batteries and keep the batteries full, and then the inverter turns that power into the same power that's being used for your home.
Chris, thanks for explaining that inverter to me. It really helps clear things up.
Certainly.
You know, maybe we should get out of here, get out of the way so the guys can finish up here. Let's go over to the grass and talk about the installation.
Great.
For contractors, the installation is the exciting part of their job, and for homeowners, it's exciting too. But it can also be a bit worrisome. Chris, can you address some of the concerns that people might have?
Well, we set up a work schedule with the homeowners and explain that the installation will take about a week. And during the installation, we will have to turn off power during one of the days for a couple of hours. Then we go through a quality control checklist to make sure that everything was properly wired.
Is that when the building inspector comes out?
Yes, then the building inspector comes and does the inspections before the system becomes fully operational.
Was there any training that the homeowner has to have?
Well, we make sure that every customer understands the equipment that we've installed. Operating safety and maintenance procedures are explained in detail with the customer. We take a lot of pride in our work, and it's part of our reward to turn on the system and see the look in their face when their meter starts running backwards.
Let's take a look at some other homeowners' experiences.
For me, I thought the installation was very easy. We are no strangers to remodeling. In fact, we've remodeled everything on our own home, but this was certainly something we did not want to tackle.
It all worked really smoothly. There was a couple days of some banging and everything, and what you'd have with the new roof anyway. And it was very smooth, and lots of checkbacks to see if everything's okay.
It went fast. I mean, within a week the whole system was in, and it was interesting watching it step by step, and they did a great job. And it's turnkey. I mean, basically they get it up and running and hooked up and everything. So that was perfect for us.
Actually, our contractor handled all of the paperwork, walked us through everything. You know, there's situations where obviously we had to sign some papers and so on, but really handled everything as far as explaining anything that needed explaining and taking care of all the legwork. So it made the process very, very painless.
Brooke, let's talk about a few more things that people should keep in mind as they consider the solar electric option.
Okay, like what?
Well, for example, solar electricity has been more expensive than utility-supplied power. But incentives that are available today can reduce the price by up to half, and it makes solar electricity affordable.
And if you finance the system and take into account the savings each month on your electric bill, your net monthly cost will probably be less than what it costs for cable TV.
There are many state, federal, and local incentives available to help pay for the cost of installing renewable energy. We suggest you use internet resources, like our website, calenergy.org, to learn more.
If you need to finance your system costs, treat it like any other home improvement. Consider a second mortgage or homeowner's equity line of credit.
And solar electric systems are an asset that adds value to your property without increasing your property taxes.
That's right. Solar electric systems are not subject to property tax. In fact, you'll want to add your system to your homeowner's insurance policy to protect this valuable asset.
It's a real asset value, you know, having solar installed. The new owner doesn't have to think about installing. They don't have to think about paying electric bills.
It appreciates the value of our home. I know that. I'm sure that in the future, whenever we finally would decide to sell our home, that it would be of value to someone else that they would be happy to pay for.
I feel like aside from, well, there's considerable rebates, bring the price down considerably. There's tax credit in the first year. It's depreciable over 5 years. But in the meantime, I felt like the day after we installed the system, we could have sold the building for an amount that would more than compensate for the cost of the system.
All of this paperwork stuff is important, such as insurance. But you probably can't get the insurance unless you get all of your permits. Don't worry, the permitting won't bog you down. Typically, your contractor or your licensed installer will obtain those permits for you, and they'll roll the price of the permits into the overall system price. You need to always make sure that permitting costs and responsibilities are addressed with your installer at the start of the process.
Whatever you do, don't shortcut the building permit process. Remember, the building permit helps ensure that the grid and the home are safe for everyone. So if you're among the first in your community to install a grid-connected renewable energy system, you and your installer can speed the process along by working closely with your local building officials to help educate them about the technology and its characteristics.
Brooke, let's learn a little bit more about net metering.
Well, net metering means the utility company charges you the difference between what you consume from the grid and the electricity that you generate.
So this allows your electric meter, such as the one here, to spin forwards when electricity flows from the utility into your home, the normal way. But when your renewable energy system is producing surplus electricity, it can flow backwards and back into the utility lines.
Most existing utility meters will work for net metering, but you'll need to establish an interconnection agreement with your utility to get a net meter to count. Again, your installer should handle much of this paperwork for you.
This agreement will ask you to demonstrate that your system was installed to certain building codes and electrical standards, to prove that your system is insured, and to show that your utility has access to a disconnect in case they need to shut your system down to service the grid. Line repairmen need to be kept safe from your system when they're working on their grid.
Remember, we're all connected together through the power grid. The interconnection agreement helps to make sure everyone's power remains safe and reliable.
If you do something every day, you're going to be a lot better at it than you do it once in your life, and that's how we feel the contractor fits in. They really help to smooth the system out. They help the customer get connected and get their system hooked up correctly, safely, and reliably. Well, we've established a procedure that we really need to follow for the safety of the customer, for our employees, and everyone in general.
After your system is installed, a permitting agency, or usually a building or electrical inspector, and your utility will need to inspect and sign off on your system before you turn it on.
And depending upon the inspection, your system may need corrections or modifications to satisfy the inspector's requirements. But don't worry, these corrections are fairly common in the construction business. Don't be alarmed if they're requested. Remember, solar energy is only one source of renewable energy. You can also install a wind turbine to power your home using the natural wind forces. I recently visited a home where a wind turbine was installed. Let's go take a quick look at what's involved.
We first looked at our average monthly kilowatt hour usage and determined that we use about 1,400 kilowatt hours of power per month. Our home has large ceilings and lots of windows. It's not as efficient as it might be. It was built in 1979. We've done everything we can in terms of replacing the windows with double pane and other insulation, but we just use that much power. So we then looked at what our options were in terms of solar or wind and determined that a small wind system, a 10 kilowatt system, could provide 75 to 80% of our monthly needs. We have a baseline which is 300 kilowatt hours per month. Once you go over 100% over that baseline, your rate that you pay for the power goes up. After you get to 200, 300, 400%, and we're at the 400% level, we pay approximately 31 cents per kilowatt hour of power that we use. The first power that the system pays off is that high or expensive power. So we work our way back to a very reasonable, almost to our baseline, which would be reducing our power or electric bill from about $325 a month to about $50. It's a pretty straightforward operation. You dig a hole for the concrete pad that the tower sits on. You dig a trench for the electrical interconnection to your home. You have a crane come in after you've poured the concrete, and the crane raises the tower, and in 3 or 4 hours it's installed. The exciting part for me and my family is we won't have to worry about power anymore. We'll be able to turn on our TV, work on our computer, turn the lights on outside in the summertime, run the air conditioner, do all the things that we've been hampered by because of the energy crisis. That's a delightful thought.
So installing wind systems involves towers instead of solar panels, and the planning and permitting activities are a little different than with solar.
This house is ready to go solar and pull the switch. They've already made all their efficiency improvements, and the solar system's completely installed and fully checked out, right, Chris?
Yep, it's ready to go.
Oh, that's great, and the sun is shining brightly, so when you pull that switch, that meter really ought to spin backwards.
Certainly.
Well, Chris, please do us the honors.
It's my pleasure.
We hope this program helped to bring renewable energy a little closer to your home. Installing renewable energy has already improved the lives of thousands of families.
And you know, modern life is more than just technology and how we make and use energy. Today, selecting renewable energy is a life-affirming decision as well as a financial decision. And if you make that fortunate choice, you are contributing to reducing international tensions around energy resources and environmental stresses like global warming.
Well, to wrap this program up, we would like everyone to know we practice what we preach. This entire program was produced using the energy of the sun.
I guess another thing that we found is now we've got all fluorescent lights in the house. We bought all new appliances that are energy efficient, and like flat screen monitors for the computers.
I believe in the concept of clean energy and doing everything we can to make a small footprint as possible and not pollute our air. So I've installed solar in my home as well. I drive a hybrid car when I'm not riding a bike.
It's a pretty exciting thought every time you see it going around, knowing that your computer is being run by it, your refrigerator is being run by it, and again, you just don't have to worry so much.
My parents do use solar on their motorhome what they travel in, so I would say they are the people that we have the most in common with, because it really does power them completely.
The only maintenance that I've been told we could ever need, unless there was some unusual thing happening, is if a lot of dust built up on the solar panels, we might have to take a hose and spray it off and just make them more effective. But just occasional rains in San Francisco has done that job for us. We've never had to do anything in the past year at all as far as maintenance, and I don't expect that we will.
Basically, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about it. It takes care of itself. I think that what's more important to me, though, is that I do think about it. Not that I think about what it's doing, but I think about the fact that the meter is a time of use meter. And I know that I'm smart to save my big appliance usage till the evening so that it's cheaper electricity, and that I'm selling during the more expensive electricity time of the day. And so to me, I would say I'm more conscious. I don't think about the solar, but I think about the balance.
And Nellie is our money machine, is the way we look at it. She's up there producing money so we can buy power from PG&E.
There's no different switches to deal with. There's nothing to do with the appliances. Everything is exactly the same as it was before. We're connected to the grid, so we're still dealing with power as if it was all coming from the grid. But in fact, during the day, we're supplying all of our own energy and sending excess energy back into the grid.
It just kind of goes on and on. Now you're just really aware of energy and usage and how to save. And I think this thing has made us really aware. And I think that's probably one of the better benefits.
I'm Lee Iacocca. You might remember me as the man that made a deal with the federal government that helped secure Chrysler's future. Today I'm here to tell you about a deal that could secure your energy future. The California Energy Commission will pay you for up to half the cost of installing solar systems in your home. And believe me, I know a good deal when I see one. This is an investment that pays for itself. It's more than just money, it's power. Power for your home and the power of positive change.
Complete details at 800-555-7794 or on the web at calenergy.org.
Hello, I'm Donald Aitken. In our television program, This Renewable House, we demonstrated that solar energy is right today for applications to houses. In this program, we shall demonstrate that renewable energy is right today for applications to the commercial building sector. Actually, renewable energy has seen more favorable applications in the commercial markets than even residential markets. This has partly been sparked by the rapid development of wind electric generation, in that the costs of wind energy are really competitive today with the costs of producing electricity from conventional resources. But wind is most economic to use when you have wind farms in areas of high wind power and generally far away from urban areas. In urban areas, solar energy is definitely the appropriate application. The technology has matured, prices have lowered, and on commercial applications, for the building owner or manager or developer, solar energy finds its place. It's especially favorable in commercial applications because the developer can take advantage not only of regional cashback incentives, but also of federal tax credits and accelerated depreciation. Today we shall look at examples from the commercial sector. starting with a renovation of a historic place, the Helms Bakery in Los Angeles, and then to a new residential development in Watsonville, California, and then to independent building owners, such as Blake's Auto Body and Rosebud Record Agency. Let's begin by visiting with Wally Marks, the man behind the Helms Bakery renovation. Hi, Wally.
Hi, Don. Good to see you.
Wally, this is a magnificent project.
Well, thank you. I hope you like it so far.
I'm really impressed with what I've seen. Tell me a little bit about the background.
Well, the Helms Bakery building was built in the 1930s, over about a decade or so. And in the 30s, it was a premier bakery for Southern California. So there's a great history. Unfortunately, the demise of the facility in the late 60s was due to the supermarkets and the regional malls and the delivery of fresh products. Mm-hmm. So we got involved in this project in the early 70s, and from that we had created a center for home furnishings and the arts. I think one of the nicest things that we truly enjoyed, and we kind of feel it's a responsibility to keep the building going, is the things that we're doing today. As you see, the solar panels that we're going to talk about, yes, the electric vehicle charging stations, and the eco-friendly building designs that we strive for. A lot of it is due partly to how the Helms family respected this property, mm-hmm. and that's what we're up to. And we feel it's an obligation to our community.
Let's go into a little detail here. Tell me a little bit more about the solar electric charging, how that fits into this whole scheme.
Well, one of the properties that Helms never was able to acquire during their reign, and we were only successful in the recent years, was this laundry facility. Built in 1931, the Beacon Laundry Building, basically 14,000 square foot building and some side buildings, discharged 19 million gallons of sewer waste into the sewer system. And from that, I knew that it was our charge to redesign this, redevelop the building with eco-friendly materials and construction design. And part of that was, one, I wanted to drive an electric car, yeah, because I'm of that mindset, and getting a charger. And two was putting a solar array. Mm-hmm. We're going to put a 19.7 kilowatt solar array up. It's going to cover a carport about 20 cars.
Well, you know, that solar system of yours is probably going to put out something like 40,000 kilowatt hours a year over a 20-year lifetime. You've got almost 1 million kilowatt hours that you're buying today at today's price. That must be pretty attractive to you.
We're about 7 or 8 years out where we think we're going to get the cross in the graph that says that we're breaking even, and then at that point we are making money. And I think in light of what's happened over our last summer here in California, it's important to have a small element of cost savings, because our electric bills, our utility bills are going up, and we estimate as a developer and owner of property that that's an expense that we need to rein in a bit. The rebate programs that are there, the incentives that are there, the accelerated tax depreciations that you're able to take, it makes sense, and it makes dollars too.
Wally, let's go look inside one of your buildings and see the kinds of things that any developer and any builder really ought to be doing in order to enhance the value of the solar energy systems.
You bet. Let's go.
Wally, this is a really unique way of daylight in a hallway. I've never seen anything like this before, but keeping your original windows, which cause them to come up part way, allows the light to come in, and then you were smart enough to use a light-colored floor and light-colored walls and light-colored ceiling. You've got this marvelous diffused daylight which just draws you down the hallway.
Well, thanks. I think it was a bit of luck. The original laundry here, actually the roof rafters were right about here at about 5 feet up, and in creating a true second floor we went up another 14 feet, as you can see. So these windows that you have here are the tops of an 18-foot window that goes clear down to the first floor. So I think it was just taking with what we had and making it work, and you're right. The light-colored maple floors, the Zolotone paint here, and the reflections. The Zolotone has, I think, a very low VOC count numbers, which is
so this is a healthy. We're walking on healthy wood and healthy paint all around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really an enormously important part of all of this.
Tom, here's a place, an office suite that is not developed yet. We've done the shell work to a point, and we'll have tenants moving in here shortly.
Well, we just saw in the other place what the tenants can do when they take this place and fix it up.
Absolutely.
When you come into this and you see this wonderful distributed daylight by having your skylights spread out around, the room rather than just concentrated. And when you can see the amount of light in here, I can understand now why the people who developed that other space chose to have the translucent walls and chose to have shade curtains where you still could see the outside world through there in order to keep this quality that you're giving them when they come in here.
Yeah. Well, it's very important. It's very important that our tenants save money by keeping their utility bills down. If they save money and they can be in business longer, they're going to be tenants in my building longer, and that's important to us.
Well, I'm glad you're thinking about the people, because what you have is a package of architecture for people and for building energy efficiency, and then for more efficient use of your solar system.
We're so pleased with our 19 kilowatt system today that we have a project here at Helms, we will go see in a moment. We have up to a 100 kilowatt system on an existing clear story sawtooth roof. And structurally it's already sound and we're very excited about doing it.
Well, that's wonderful, because then with the same energy efficiency measures that you've been putting into these buildings, and you put up 100 kW, you're going to have a very significant amount of the energy of this entire complex provided by environmental energy resources, natural lighting, natural cooling, and solar energy. And it tells a really important message to everyone about how we can get the value for our workplaces and still have a much lower impact on the environment, and in the process you get much more satisfied tenants. It's great for your business, it's great for their business. It really is a win-win situation.
Absolutely. I think so many owners of property need to look at things like this, because you're buying the power today at today's dollars, and as you said earlier, you've got a 30-year horizon and at a fixed cost.
That's right. Who can know what energy prices are going to be 30 years from now? But after you've put in your PV today, you got 30 years worth of the energy that you paid for today. And I guarantee you 10 years from now you're going to be looking back and you're going to be feeling really lucky that you got a lower price per kilowatt hour than all the other people around here.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Good work, Wally. Thank you very much for bringing us here. We've just learned how Wally Marks decided that solar electricity was right for his historic, renovated commercial property. Now let's see why Clarum Homes, a new residential development in Watsonville, chose to be one of the first pioneers in the Central Coast.
You typically see PV in custom homes or solar passive homes that are built on an individual basis, and usually they're built by a demographic that has, more financial wherewithal. We're trying to apply these on not only market rate homes but also affordable homes. We're right now on a 4-unit project which has 3.2 kilowatts systems per house. You can see there's 32 panels behind us. Those are 100 watts per panel. We built a 7-unit project which had 2 kilowatts per house, and we just completed a 31-unit project in Santa Cruz County in the city of Watsonville that had between 1.6 kilowatt and 2 kilowatts per house, and 8 of the homes were at the affordable rate. People move into their homes and they're proud that they have PV. They show it to their friends. They love PV. They feel like they're doing the environmentally correct thing. They feel like they're making a sensible decision buying a house with PV. I think everybody in California last year became very aware of the energy crisis and the need for the use of renewable energy, so it's become accepted, and the bankers and the financial institutions I've met with all have been very receptive to the idea of using PV, and have been open to the value added and the marketing concepts of it. Our whole plan is to have photovoltaics in every house we build. We also use a lot of green building techniques on the homes we build. We're trying to increase the energy efficiency requirements, exceed the Title 24 state requirements by up to 50% by using added insulations, radiant barriers on the roof. We insulate all the hot water. We do a tight ducting system for the heating system. And we're also using recycled products. These homes that you're looking at behind me are all built with recycled steel. We're just trying to incorporate as many of the green building techniques as we can. We feel photovoltaics falls right in that category of renewable energy.
The application of renewable energy to new developments has been slow, but thanks to pioneers such as Clarum Homes, I believe developers are beginning to see the light. Let us now turn our attention to Mike Kappus of Rosebud, a music industry management company located in San Francisco. For Mike, the decision was clear. He wanted to maintain his commitment to the environment and enhance the value of his property. And when Mike finished with his commercial application, he went home and did the same thing to his home.
Years ago, I'd wanted to check out being able to produce our own electricity here. And solar seemed the most obvious way to go. But when I first checked on it, the prices were ridiculous, and $250,000 to get this place set up and everything, and it just didn't make any sense. And I picked up Solar Today magazine, and I keep seeing all these different places, people doing it, and I figured there had to be a better option. So a few years later I checked again, and we checked around and we came up with some much more reasonable prices. The rebate program definitely helped, but I was committed to doing this regardless, but the rebate program made it that much more appealing. And between that, there's actually 2 different rebates that we got from it, and between those and the tax credits and everything else, what it made me want to do after doing it is really communicate to the public how it's not a concept for the future, and someday this will make sense financially, but it makes sense now. If you're looking at it strictly from a financial standpoint, it makes sense right now. If you're looking at it from an environmental standpoint, I think it made sense before, but now it makes sense in both respects.
We don't often think of solar energy in relation to our everyday use of automobiles or to our automobile infrastructure, but Blake's Auto Body discovered that solar energy would improve its financial position and strengthen its business.
The owner of this business and the solar system, you can go to the bank and create any type of scenario you want. You can get this system to start putting money in your pocket the first year, and probably put money in your pocket forever, depending on how long you string out the payments. Simple math, you're going to receive 65% of total investment on your roof back from the government, the Fed and the states. So realistically, it costs you 35% out of pocket to install solar today. I'd like to retire someday, and assets are wonderful. Having the solar system up on the roof is an asset, and it's not accessible by the county and the state. That's one of the gifts they give you. So as long as I own this building, and they will not charge me, you know, your yearly fee for assessing the value of your property. The fact of the matter is, I will not have an electrical bill here after 10 years when I pay off the note that I borrowed from the bank. In June, especially on Saturdays and Sundays when we're not open, the meter's going to be running backwards. During the day, we've already noticed in October that we almost have the meter at a standstill, which is pretty exciting. But those are times where maybe we're not running full power here, full spray booth, full compressors, welders. But when the shop is like not super active, the meter basically goes to a halt, which means it's costing us no money to stay open. And if you look around, you see lots of lights and lots of equipment going right now. This summer, the PUC has increased our price for electricity at peak times 87%. So this particular system offers so much electricity during peak use, because obviously high noon is pretty much peak use here, and the equipment on the roof is running at peak time. It saves us an armload of money during the day, because at peak use we're getting peak performance from our solar. Probably 60% of everybody in the state of California can do solar, can make it profitable for themselves, for their business, for their corporation, for their building, for their home, and they should do it. I've always tried to stay in front of being a good businessman, and I think solar is just good business for myself and for the state of California and the children that are growing up right now that want to live here in the future.
Whether your business is a leased space, new or renovated, or a new housing development, or whether you're an independent building owner or operator, the application of renewable energy to your business makes financial sense. It can strengthen your business in many ways that together will pay themselves back and lead your business into the future.
This Renewable House was funded in part by the California Energy Commission Renewable Energy Program and by Astropower, bringing solar power home, and Xantrex, Smart choice for power.